think we got that fixed. Sorry about that. Okay, so my name's Catherine, and we're just going to go through this customer story real quick, and then I will go ahead and show you the help desk and everything that works with it. So the customer that we're going to talk about here is Catawba Valley Medical Center. They're a medical center located in Hickory, North Carolina, which is one of the region's largest nonprofit community hospital. So the problems that they were having initially before turning to the help desk was they were overwhelmed with the amount of phone calls that they were receiving, and they didn't know how to track and record the requests. So their first thought was to go ahead and try to hire additional staff in order to meet those needs. But that request was denied because the management didn't have sufficient data to support it. So they had to come up with something different, and they decided to go with the help desk. They went through a number of different programs, and they felt that our program was very easy to use, very user-friendly, something that they wanted their end users to not be tasked with logging in and putting a ticket in. And so they felt that ours was pretty simple, pretty easy, and so they decided to go with it. Now, after implementing the help desk, the response that they got was that they had 94% response time, which meant all of their requests were handled within the first 5 minutes. They told us that their phone calls were decreased by over 70%, and they had a very high end user satisfaction. So after doing this, they were able to report that information to their management, and therefore could justify the need to hire. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how easy that was. One thing I was going to mention is one of the things that Catawba wanted was they didn't like that people were selecting their own technicians every time they were submitting a ticket. And so there's a way in our program that you can select it for them. So we'll go over that as well. So looks like it worked this time, so hopefully you can all see my screen. This is just the login screen itself. We do, first off, I'll just mention, like Amy said, we do have a hosted solution as well as an on-premise solution. The on-premise solution is offered via web, via iPad, any mobile device. You're just hosting it on your premises versus ours. So this is accessible for your technicians when out in the field so that they don't have to actually be back in the office to look at tickets and see what's going on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is just log in as the admin so I can show you how quick and easy this is to set up. So what you're seeing here is the admin information, and if I click here under settings, these are all of the different options that I have and all of the things that I would go through to set up. So just to go ahead and say from the start, you can integrate with your LDAP or your Active Directory. You can collaborate or integrate with any sort of mail system. There is GroupWise collaboration to where you can integrate with GroupWise and therefore set appointments and phone calls, things like that. It also integrates with ZenWorks as well, but we do have our own internal asset tracker that I will go over. So if you're not using ZenWorks, we still have a way to track those assets. So just on the general tab here, one thing that's nice is you can enter in some system message text. So if you have a message that you would like to get across to all technicians or all users, you can type that information in here and then it displays up here at the top. So that's just one of the nice features if, like this one says phones are down, so that everybody's not submitting tickets when your technicians are already aware of that information. So the first thing you're going to want to do in the help desk is set up a group. For the demonstration here, I have a bunch of different groups set up, but if you're just going to be using it for IT purposes, then you would just have the one group. But you can also use it in other departments. We have transportation departments that use it, human resources, and maintenance facilities are probably our four biggest. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you here what happens when you set up a group and what your options are. Here I can tell it to integrate with the help desk internal asset tracker or ZenWorks, or if I don't want to track assets at all, I can just click none. it does have a permission model, and you can, if you have multiple groups, you can have multiple permission models. I know that, you know, human resources is going to have some different restrictions that IT might have, so you can set up 2 different permission models there. Now, one thing that is specific to our help desk here is the use of categories and category options. This is a way for you to categorize the tickets. Your end users can submit a category or a category option, and then that's how we auto-route the tickets, and I'll show you that as well. So if you have one certain technician that only does hardware, or you have one that does all of the training, then when they select those categories or category options, you can automatically route it to a certain technician, and therefore your end user isn't constantly selecting their favorite one, which might not actually do what needs to be done on that ticket. So here you can set up as many as you want. Here, hardware, and then here's all the category options underneath. So it's pretty simple, just, you know, clicking the icon and adding the name in there. So that's the first thing we would do, is set up groups. And the other thing is locations here. You can set up as many locations. We usually look at these as, you know, where the technicians are going to go out to, so that it's set there on the ticket and they know where to go to fix that. Now, we also have statuses and priorities that are across the board for all groups. You can add as many statuses as you would like, and this is just defining what a technician can change the status of a ticket. So if anyone else needs to look at that, or the user that submitted it wants to see what's going on with the ticket, they can tell by the status and then also by the notes that the technician would enter as well. Now, we do have priorities here. Obviously, you would want, you know, everything to come in at a low priority, or you wouldn't want your end users to change that priority because everything would be critical, system down. So you can just go ahead and set the priorities here, and then the technician can change them after that if it needs to be bumped up to something different. The assignments and the custom fields, I'll go over that when we actually look at the ticket so that you can see how that works. And then we just have permission models down here. And one neat feature on the permission models is you can, there's a lot of different options here. You can take as many things off of the ticket as you want, or you can add them right into the ticket. So if you don't, you know, want your end users to view the priority, that's just something that you want the technicians to set, you can come right here on View Priority, and you can take the user role out. So it's up to your discretion as to what you're having your end users see. Now, one thing that I failed to mention as far as the mail goes is we do have an email to ticket feature, which means your end users simply submit an email to the address that you have set up, and then that email is converted into a ticket. And so it will go into the ticket pool, and then your technicians would see it and could work on it from there. If a technician pulls up that ticket that was converted and responds to it, your end user is going to get an email with that response, and they can just simply respond to that email, and all of this information is embedded and stored in the ticket. So that's just some of the setup things that, you know, you would do as an admin. You can see that it's pretty simple to set up. It doesn't take you that long. But I'm going to go ahead and log in as a user so you can see what the user would see if they're logging in to submit a ticket. Now, there's a couple things down here at the bottom. Search the knowledge base. The knowledge base that's built into the system, or where you can add in articles there, your users don't have to log in to view it. They can click that here without logging in. Forgetting the password, if they click there, then it'll send them a new password, and then they can log in with that. And then the new user register here. If you're integrating with Active Directory or LDAP, you would obviously want to take this off because you're importing your users. And that's something that, as the admin, you can do. If your end users, you don't want to go in and create every single user and you want them to do it, then you can utilize this button here. Or you can go in and create those yourself. So I'm just going to log in as the user. Now, it kind of looks the same as the admin, but there's obviously a lot of different options here, less options. The end user is going to have 2 tabs. Just by default, these are automatically created when you create the user. Owned by me and my closed tickets. This is just where they can come in and see any tickets that are currently open, which is the owned by me. These are ones that they've submitted under their own name. And then my closed tickets are going to be any tickets that they have submitted in the past that are now closed out. So in order for them to submit a new ticket, they can just click the new ticket icon here, or tab at the top. Now if you notice, I have an option here to select a group. If I have multiple groups, then my end user would need to select that. But if I only have one group, then it's going to default for them. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the tech services. And what it's going to show here in the contact information, this is just the person that's logged in. You as a person can lock this down to where they couldn't select another user. Or if it's okay to submit tickets on others' behalf, then you could leave it like this and they could select another contact. So it comes right in here to the ticket info, and they're going to select a category that we talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and go with hardware. And then under category option, I'm going to select printer. Now if you notice, the assignment filled in automatically with the technician of Gus. And this is grayed out, so I can't select a different technician. And this is because as the admin, I've set it up prior to that if the category hardware is selected and then printer is the option, Gus is our only one that works on those. Now what you're seeing here, this room number, this question, I've done a little bit of testing in this demo lately, but these are what we call custom fields. Custom fields can be entered. I look at them as kind of a question, an additional question that your technicians are continually asking the end user on specific items. You can apply them directly to the group, like this room number is one that's applied. Whenever tech services is selected, then this question will appear. Mostly so when they get to the building, they know right where to go. And so that's something that we want to ask on every single ticket. Now something like, is it plugged in? This is one that only comes up when the category of the category option of printer is selected. And so you can get very specific in your custom fields and only ask questions when certain options are selected. Or you can be general, like this one. When would a good time to contact you? You know, that's going to come up as well on every single ticket. Now the asterisk next to them makes them required. So on those custom fields, you can make them required so that your end users have to answer those questions before saving the ticket. Or like this one is not required, so you don't have to do that there. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out. And like I said, with that permission model, you can take you know, this status. You can make it so that they don't even see that, and it looks like this one is already set to where the priority isn't there. So your end user isn't going to see any of that either. So here on the subject, I can go ahead and type what my problem is. And if I need to elaborate on that, I can type it in the note here. If I want to attach a file to maybe show what these weird characters are, I can go ahead and attach that. But I have all the required fields filled out, and so I can just simply submit that ticket. And it's going to give me a ticket ID number here at the top, and that ticket has been submitted to Gus as the assignment. So if you're questioning what it looks like on the email to ticket feature that we talked about earlier, what happens is when they submit that email and they type in the subject of their email, you know, they might just type in printer problems. And then whatever they type in the body of the email is going to come here in the note. And so that's how that information transfers over to the actual ticket itself. So that's how easy it is for them to submit a ticket. If they wanted to come in and look at the status of one or maybe see what's going on, they just find the ticket that they want, and then here's the information here. And let's say they have a question for the technician. They can go ahead and add a comment. And save that. And now an email is sent to the technician letting them know that the user has submitted this question, and it also will put everything here in the history comments. So anything that the technician and the user speak back and forth, you're going to see it here in the comments, even if it is them just replying to an email. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just log in as a manager technician. The manager technician in this have the same rights Now you notice it looks a little bit different when I log in. I have a bunch more tabs here than the end user did. And the reason for those tabs, these are all customizable for each and every technician and manager. It's just a way of setting up their help desk so that they can come in and see things maybe grouped together in a certain way. Let's say they hit certain locations on certain days, so they might want to set up a tab for those locations so that they can just see, you know, if I click here, Bountiful Junior High, I can see what's going on at the junior high at a quick glance, and these are just my open tickets. Now, for them to set this up, all they're going to do is create a filter. So these tabs up here on the top, we have a filter, and these are all the ones that this particular technician has created at some point. If they just want to run this filter, they can come in and do that by clicking Apply, or they could edit the filter. So what I'm going to do is show you how to create one of these filters. So if I click on Create New here, I can name this filter whatever I want. I think there is a Layton High School in here. And then these are all my options here at the bottom as to what I can put into this filter. And a filter and a search go hand in hand. The only difference is a filter is something that you save that you might want to look at later or create one of those custom tabs. And if you're just doing a search, it might just be something that you're looking at for the moment and you're not going to have to come back. So on the ticket field, like if I'm doing a location like here, Layton High School, then what I'm going to want to do is I only want to see the open tickets. So I'm going to select status, and I'm going to say that it not equals closed. And so this is going to make it so I only see the open tickets. And because it's a location, I also want to filter on the location itself. So I'm just going to select my, okay, it's Layton Middle School. Let me change this. So what this is saying is it's going to pull my location, which is Layton Middle School, and anything that's not closed. So I can go ahead and save that filter. If I were to click Apply, then I'm going to see any tickets that meet that criteria. Now, after you run a filter or a search, you have some options here. You can export the data. So you can export it to a PDF or to an Excel file if you need to look at it that way. And you can also mass update. So if there's multiple things here in the filter, I can highlight the ones I want to update and then click Mass Update here. Now this is helpful to technicians if they, you know, say they fixed 6, 7 tickets in one day, and instead of going in on each individual ticket, closing it out, making a note, they can just do a mass update here. So they can come here and say, okay, this item is closed. And if they want to, they can enter a note in here and simply change it. Now, the other things that you can do is you can update the work time on a particular ticket. You can change the assignment. If there were some tickets that were assigned to the wrong person, I can move them to the right person. Change the priority to status, the estimated completion date. If you're waiting on a part per se and you want to put the date 2 months out, you can do that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And it's just going to close whatever tickets I had selected here. Oh, it looks like there it is. So that's how easy it is to create a filter or to do a search in the system for a technician. And so that's what we've done here in order to create these custom tabs. You just simply come over here, to the edit, and here's the names of those tabs, and here's the filters that it's using. And so if you wanted to add one, it's really simple just to go ahead and add that in like that. And so it's just a way for managers or technicians to organize their data and view it the way that they want to view it. So another thing that we have here are some reports. In order to run a report, we need to create a filter. And so those filters that I just created, either by location, I could create one by technician, you know, whatever data I needed to pull from the system. So let's take a look at this one from Bountiful Junior High. This is just a location report. In the school setting, you know, we have a principal at each location. And so we're creating this report for that principal, just something that he can go in and take a look at without having to log into the system and do all of this stuff himself. We just want to send him a report each week or each month, and so this is how you would do it. So you're basically going to select your filter, and then you're going to tell it how you want to group it, what format you want it in, and the schedule that you want it to run on. So this one is set to run every Monday. You can set it to end never, or if it's something that only needs to be run for 3 months, then you can end it after those 3 months. And then here you're going to just say who you want it to go to, the name of the report, and the body of the email if you'd like. So this particular one, as soon as I click play here, it's going to start the process, and now that's going to be sent out every Monday. If I wanted to view that report myself, I can just click on this icon, and then I can go ahead and view what that report looks like that's going to go to that principal each month. If I drill down on it, then I can just see more information, however I set that up in the report itself. Now there's one feature in our help desk that cuts a lot of time out for technicians and managers, and that's our ticket templates. There's a couple different ways you can look at ticket templates, and one of them being, let's say you have a help desk where people are just calling in and your help desk is submitting tickets. Now, a lot of times you get the same ticket repeatedly, so it could be like a password reset if that phone call is continually coming in. What you can do is create a template, and in the template itself, notice how everything is filled out. We already have the category option, who it goes to, what the subject is. And so if that person on the help desk, say a password reset ticket comes in, they're just going to simply launch the template and change whoever it is that's calling, and then launch. And so rather than typing in all of that information every single time somebody calls in, you know, they have 2 clicks and then they're launching that template. And so these templates can be created very quickly too. So if something happens that morning, something goes down, and that help desk technician wants to create a quick template, it's as quick as submitting 1 ticket, and then all of the additional tickets after that will go a lot quicker for them. So that's one way to use a template. Another way is if you want to set a recurrence or set up a ticket to run on a schedule. This particular one or example is for a database backup. And so each and every month we need to back up the database. And so the entire ticket is filled out here. And the only difference is we would come to the recurrence tab and say when we want it to go. And so this one is set monthly. So the first Monday of every month, this ticket is going to be launched. And it's going to go to the proper technician, and then they can go ahead and record all of the data that they need to. And as a help desk technician, you don't have to remember every month to make sure you submit that ticket so that you have the data stored there. And the way that you can tell that this is set up on a recurrence is right here under the schedule. These little black dots means that it's set on a schedule, and it's going to be sent out on the schedule that you've set. If there comes a time where you want to stop that, you just simply click stop, and then it's not going to go out anymore. And so another way to use a template, if you notice, there's only 1 ticket in all of these except for the new hire. Now this is something that you might want to set a workflow to. And so if you notice, there's all of these different tickets underneath this template. And this is, you know, you hire somebody and all of the things that need to get done. There might be, you know, 10 different items, and different people handle those different things. So we've set up tickets for each individual thing that needs to be done. And so you would come here to this workflow tab, and I'd go ahead and enable that workflow. And then all of your tickets will display here on the left-hand side, and you're simply just going to drag and drop them. And so here, like if you look at step 2. Step 2 is the setup desk ticket and the user added to the directory ticket. Now those might go to 2 different people. And once both of those people close out the tickets, then the next 2 tickets will launch. So after the desk is set up and the user is added, then the phone setup and the computer setup are going to be launched. And then when those are closed, then our next ticket is launched. And so it puts a series of tickets into motion without you actually having to go in and do it yourself. So your technicians are just working, and then different tickets are launched after that. So ticket templates are a really neat feature. We have a lot of customers that utilize this, and they can be used in a lot of different ways. And so that was just briefly touching on that there. On the knowledge base, I mentioned this before, that your end users could search the knowledge base without logging in to the program. And they can do that, and they can also do that from within the program by clicking on this tab here. Now, there is one feature that is great for technicians. If you want your technicians and managers to be able to view certain articles, all you do is mark them as private. And then after they log in, they will be able to see all of those knowledge-based articles that are meant only for technicians and managers. The end user will not see those. The end user will only see things that you have made public. So these could just be simple items like you can see here, how do I set up my voicemail? How do I restart my computer? Just simple things that they might be able to get some self-help on rather than submitting a ticket. So one of the last things I want to show you here is the assets. I talked about us having an internal asset tracker, and this is where you would do all of that information, where you would submit all of that information. There's a few settings here that you would need to set up initially, but again, asset types, you're just going to type in whatever assets you have that you want to keep track of, and then just what the status of those might be. If it's something that you're going to assign out, if it's something that's disposed of, whatever you would want to change that to. Now, there is an import feature that you can import that a lot of people will store it in an Excel file. You can import it from that and put it into the system that way. Right here under List Assets, this is just where you're going to where it's going to go to right when you click on the tab, and this is just a list of everything that's been entered up to this point. So one of the things that I want to show you here, if you're editing an asset or adding one in, there's 4 required fields. So we have the asset number, what the name is, and then here's that type and status that you previously set up. And then there's a whole lot of more information that you can add. You can add a location, you can attach it to an owner. We have some customers that use this when they want to distribute iPads or distribute cell phones. They'll put the asset in the system and then they'll attach it to somebody so they know who has what. And then you got model number, serial number. You can even come to the accounting info and enter in any accounting info that you need, you know, maybe when it expires, the cost of it. But one thing here, this associated tickets. Now, this is something that your technicians can attach an asset to a ticket. So let's say they get a ticket on a particular printer. They can attach that printer asset to the ticket itself, and then let's say it comes to the end of the year and you want to see what printer should we purchase. You can come in and look at those assets to see what issues you had with it. If it's continually the same issue, then maybe you want to go with a different printer. So this is a good way to be able to see that information. As well as software licenses, you can add in licenses to different assets. So if this particular one has the Microsoft Suite installed on it, you can attach that here. We have a remote management feature so that you can remote into those assets just by the technician pulling the ticket up. And then we also have, if you notice, these are kind of weird, Robin's tab, oil changes, Brenda's tab. You can set up custom fields. So we have that transportation department that's using the system, and they want to track all of their vehicles, all of their buses, all of that information. And so they when we did a demo, we set this up so that they could add in the oil changes, just something as simple as that, so that they're tracking each vehicle, when the oil changes are, and what the particular VIN number might be on that vehicle. So there's a lot of different things that you can do here. You know, you can add in any custom items that pertain to your business there. You can also add in some vendors. You know, if you want to import vendors, just a place to store all of that information, you can do that here in the assets piece. So anything that falls under the assets is going to be, if you notice, to search the assets, that's going to be under the assets tab here. So it's just a neat feature if you're not, you know, purchasing any outside software in order to do so. So I think that I've covered most of the help desk. Amy, is there any questions that you've seen so far, or do you have any questions that you want me to go over?
I have not seen any questions yet so far, but again, if anyone does have questions, you can put those through in the chat or on the Q&A.
Okay, so one thing that I do want to add, like just for some future things that GroupLink has in the works that fits in with the help desk here is we're partnering with a company that does a network discovery utility. And so it will go out and browse the network, and then it will put the information into this asset tracker that we've just discussed. So you wouldn't have to put all this information in and update it yourself. That discovery utility would go out and search it and get it for you and put it in. So it'll save you a lot of time that way. So that's something that will be coming in the future, you know, probably within the next 3 to 6 months. Some other things that just quick, like this quick ticket search. I use this a lot in searching the help desk that we use internally here. Rather than going through each individual thing here, I might just type in a customer's name or an end user's name here and search it that way, and so I can find it a lot easier. I think Nikki is one. Must not be. So anyway, you can type that information in here, and it just does a quicker search for you. And I just thought of something that I didn't go over, and that's our scheduler. It's kind of a bigger thing, a neat feature in the help desk. You can set up scheduled items to go out. And so when I mentioned us using the help desk here, we use this scheduler as a way to close out tickets. So our technicians will set an item to resolved. And so when it's set to resolved, we will leave it in the resolved status for a certain amount of days, just giving the end user an opportunity to let us know if it wasn't fixed. And so if we don't hear back, this one is set to 10 days. If we don't hear back from them, then this scheduled item will run, and it's just going to tell them, okay, we didn't hear anything from you, so we're going to close out the ticket. So the technician doesn't have to go back in and remember to close those out, but yet it still gives that end user a certain amount of days to respond back, and it will automatically send those emails out for you. You know, we have customers that will do that. They'll run a scheduled item in order to change a priority. So if something comes in a certain category or category option, then it will automatically change the priority for them. The same with SLAs. If they want to make sure that, you know, they're meeting their SLAs. There are some customers, I don't know if this particular one is a great example. It might be the one above it. Just this first-time response. They want to send an email out to a certain person, and this looks like it's the boss, to say, hey, this was not met within the first hour. And so this meaning that the actual technician has not gone in and done anything on the ticket, has not changed the status, has not made any sort of change on the ticket within an hour. And so we know that it's not met. And so it's just a way of sending out emails. If you notice, this is going to go to the technician itself as well as the boss, so they know that it's not done. But you can also create scheduled items that will automatically go out to the ticket contact as well. So does anyone have any questions? Or Amy, have you seen anything? I think that's probably close to it.
Okay, yeah, I have seen actually a couple of questions come through.
Okay.
First of all, is there an IM message tool available?
There is not in this version.
Okay, and then along the same sort of lines, is there a mobile solution for support reps on the road?
Yes, there is. We do have a mobile solution. You can use it on an Android, an iPhone, iPad, any of that. So yeah, anywhere you are, you can go ahead and pull it up and work on tickets that way.